Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on David's Polymoog here. We're actually getting close to the end of the videos on it. What I've actually got going on right now is actually what you see as burn-in. I've had it powered up for about 4 hours. And basically what burn-in is, for anybody that don't know, electronic terms, it's basically when you replace components and you give them amount of time with electricity through them at their normal operation to make sure they're going to hold up, and they actually tend to break in and start working better, or actually they can start working worse. You can kind of think of it for the car guys out there, breaking a new engine. Whenever you have an engine rebuild, you tend to have a certain amount of time you run it for to give it burn-in time, or break-in time in the case of the engine with rings and everything. Well, this is kind of the same thing. It's just doing it electronically, and it's actually switching transistors on and off and breaking them in. But anyways, that's basically what burn-in is. But I've calibrated David's Polymoog. Had a few failures in the first calibration actually. He lost some LM3580 and op amps, which this is another one of those common faults that I find in a lot of these Polymoogs, is those actually tend to go bad worse than the CA3080s. And they'll just die with that warning like his did. I was adjusting things on his voltage control filter, and I lost one for his keyboard CV circuit, and so everything died on that end. So I ended up just replacing all of them. And so I don't really know the lifespan of these components. I actually put sockets, and I put in some high-grade gold-plated sockets in these things. So this thing's going to be great. And on top of that, I replaced all the ceramic disc caps, tantalum caps, electrolytic capacitors, diodes. I basically went through this board and just redid as much as I could that affects jitter and oscillators and noise. And also your ground, some of these capacitors are filters for their reference to ground. And when they break down, you start hearing things like staticky noises and popping, and sometimes even chirping of your oscillators. I've actually heard that. So anyways, redid all the boards. And then yesterday I actually finished up rebuilding this power supply, which I actually used high-end capacitors and high-temperature capacitors. Replaced all the capacitors, the power transistors, the rectifier diodes, and did a few little things to it to kind of help it run cooler. And of course it's cool right now. It's been on for about 5 hours, so it's doing really, really good stuff. On top of that, got playing with it, and I wasn't real happy with this fixed voice cards. These are actually the fixed filters for the presets, and I noticed some of them were really they weren't really that bad. I just didn't like how they sounded, so I put new chips in those, the 1458s, if I remember that right. Yeah, MC 1458s, I believe is what it was. And I replaced those with new components, 741 op amps. Redid all those. And then I noticed also his resonator had some crackling in it, which is another symptom of a breaking down op amp. Sometimes these op amps tend to get weak and they start kind of flaking the voltage and everything. So replaced those, and got his resonator working great. And then I basically redid all the boards basically, and what you get is a very clean, good sounding Polymoog. And then I calibrated everything, made it great. And as you can hear, for anybody that says Polymoogs aren't powerful, this is a proof that they are very powerful. As you can hear, it's definitely got that nice crisp sound to it. Of course, you got your envelope generator. We can set that up with some sustain time. But this thing can also do some very good bass sounds too. I know a lot of people tend to say, well, it's not really bassy, it's really a string synth. And that is true to some standards. But you can actually get some pretty decent bass sounds out of this. For instance, you get it set up here. just a little bit on this. So here's Gary Newman metal bass line. So you can hear it's really bassy. Of course, you have to excuse the keyboard double triggering. I still haven't cleaned the key contacts. That's one of the last things I do. Anyways, that's kind of the bassy section. But you know, something else I'd like to demonstrate too is the actual filters here, because these actually work correctly now. So we'll go to preset 1. And basically these filters are set up to give the presets their own kind of sound. So very nice strings, piano. Some very good sounds there. Organ. Things like that. Harpsichord. Funk. Things like that. And then clavichord, this is one of my favorite ones because this is actually one of the best, probably one of my favorite presets, because it actually has dynamic response and everything, which is really cool. But you can actually hear when I play soft, harder, soft. So they actually have dynamics, which is a pretty cool thing for 76. You have vibes. Which is a good sound. Brass. A little interesting fact for anybody out there that might be interested. Keith Emerson actually used the prototype Polymoog on brain salad surgery. And one of the things he used on that album was the brass sound for the trumpets. And of course I think he had the voice control filter, which actually the filter has its own preset too, which is already set up in the transistor switching. So you can kind of hear, and then you can also mix it with resonators. So actually we're on. So kind of a cool sound. Then we got, of course, our synthesizer mode, which to get set up. But that's it basically before I went through all the presets. But something I'd like to show you here on this, and just to kind of show you that everything's working here, David, we'll actually set the filter here. I'm going to play one of my Also, let me demonstrate this right quick too. The keyboard will actually track the, the filter actually track the keyboard. Let me turn that off. It's almost like a human voice kind of sound. We can put glide on that from the external keyboard circuit. Mix that with resonator. So kind of cool thing there. But also what I'd like to show you too is just the response to this filter, because I got it calibrated now. So get Cars, the intro to Cars. Of course, he actually used a phase 100, but something that's really cool, and I like to do this. This is actually, so it's really cool. Set the envelope generator for the amplifier. Keyboard split. Put the resonator on the high keys. So right now you'll have this bass. Kind of a cool sound there. Of course, you can do it right the opposite. You can split that up. We'll make this lower. Or you can do it like this. Now what you got? You got the resonator and filter stacked. Anyways, that's a good example of the Polymoog and some of the power you can actually get out of this thing. And you know, it's definitely one of my favorite poly synths. Of course, it's got a mono filter. It don't have, you know, the glamour of some of the later Prophet 5s and things like that with independent voices. But you have unlimited voices because it uses divider circuits and all that, just like I say on all my videos. You got independent modulations for frequency modulation and all that, which is really cool, that most of your other synths don't have. I mean, most of them you have what you have right here, which is when I actually lock the one frequency modulation to both oscillators. And it sounds like this right here. Actually, we'll just go to direct output. We've still got independent pulse width modulation. But anyway, that's what you get with most of your synthesizers. With this one here, you can speed one up. And you even got control of your PWM at the same time. So if you hear here. Your sine wave, that's your sawtooth. You combine that with the square wave. Anyways, David, that's your Polymoog, and hopefully it'll hold up very well for you. Once I get everything finished burning in and put back together in the final calibration, I'll be boxing it up and getting it ready to go out to you. But anyways, just thought I'd make a quick little video here, just kind of show you. And all of you guys, once again, I appreciate every one of you that watch my videos, and y'all take care.